Hello, strangelings. Welcome to another Thursday Thought here in the parlor. Today, I've been kicking around to me, it's kind of a very funny notion, honestly. So, I've been kicking around the golden rule in my head and thinking about that. Anybody who knows anything about the golden rule, of course, knows that the golden rule is something that got picked up heavy by Christians, and you know, everybody just kind of follows it because, or says they follow it, whether they actually do or not, because that's the thing you do, right? But the golden rule is actually, how to put this? Okay, so for us, the Roman Empire is an ancient world, way too far back that we could never possibly hope to visit. Well, to those very Romans, the Greeks were an ancient world, and to those very Greeks, the Egyptians were an ancient world, and to those very Egyptians, they had so many ancient worlds that they had come from. Because after all, as we know from history, Egypt was the last great nation of the African continent, not the first. Now, of course, if nations start rising up from the African continent again, they will be the last of that time period, but they were the last nonetheless. And even the ancient Egyptians knew the golden rule as an ancient rule. So of course the thinking is perhaps this rule is something that might actually be as old as humans understanding what interactions between them and someone else or something else actually entails. Of course, as the Abrahamic religions, because it's not just Christianity, as the Abrahamic religions understand the golden rule, it is do unto others as you would have done unto you. Very proactive, very make sure that you are being a studious, respectful, responsible human being around everyone else. And they hopefully will do the same for you. Well, unfortunately, that's not always the case, as we know. There are actually multiple versions of the golden rule, however, and that is actually a more recent iteration. Another recent iteration of the golden rule is do unto others as others have done unto you. Now, of course, this is a reactionary version. This belongs in the world of Satanism. And like religions, there are other religions that are similar in their beliefs that have that version of the rule. Now, this is a basically don't let people walk all over you version of the golden rule, which is 100% important. You see, Jesus never said, continue to turn the other cheek until you are lying on the ground with no breath left because you've been slapped so much. Jesus never said that. Jesus never said that you need to die to allow someone else to kill you. Never. And it would have been weird if he had. So, having a reactive version is not anti-Christian, just so you know. That's just the stuff they tell you because they want you to stay in your position and not get up and say, no, I'm fighting back. That's the reason they tell you to turn the other cheek as hardcore as they do. Honestly. I swear. As somebody who grew up as a Methodist, who grew up in a church that actually believed in the tenets of the Methodist Church, which requires you to have an open mind. If you don't have an open mind in the Methodist Church, you are not actually a Methodist. By the way, that came from my my classes to be confirmed as an actual member of that church, and I never technically left the rolls of that church. So technically, am still a member of that church and considered actually visiting when I was there in October, but then decided not to because who knows? We had stuff, important stuff, I'm sure. We were there for a funeral. Now, of course, why in the hell am I even talking about this? Obviously, I mean, it doesn't really matter, blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm talking about this because my thought today is actually on another one of my lessons on what it means to be a bohemian. And I kind of have to say it that way because bohemian is not a belief system. There is not a belief system that comes with it. In fact, most bohemians, to my knowledge, were atheists and had to be converted. I know that my great-grandmother had to be converted to Catholicism when she came to the United States, and she was not happy about it. And she, well, let's just say voodoo is a child of Catholicism for a reason. So, yeah. My teaching on that was when the lesson came during church. And of course, my church did the whole making sure Sunday school lessons matched the talk that the pastor gave, so that it was all, you know, fluid and would catch in the brain of those poor kids. Actually, it wasn't actually that bad being in that church. I had been in worse churches. As an adult, exploring some of my friends' religious belief systems, I've been to worse churches than mine. My church was great compared to anything else I saw, honestly. So, for me, it was coming home and my mother saying, "Do unto others as others do unto you," is a great, great philosophy. However, as a bohemian, we tend to believe a little further than that. So, as a bohemian, our beliefs are, do unto others as you would have done unto yourself until they prove who they are. Kind of, I was thinking today, if you think about it, a little bit of both sides, like it's one coin. Like the Christians, do unto others as you would have done unto you. The Satanists, do unto others as others do to you. But the Bohemian belief is right jab in the middle. I said jab on purpose, yeah. Right there. Because the Bohemians believe, do unto others as others do unto you, until they prove by their actions what they deserve. And that's exactly what the Satanist version is. Do unto others what they prove they deserve by their actions, essentially. So I thought it was kind of interesting that the golden rule seems so very split, and had seemed so very split most of my life, because of the fact that I follow a completely different regiment. I follow the regiment that not only has me respecting the stranger because I don't know who he is and I don't know who he's been or what he's been through. He or she, obviously, whatever kind of pronoun you want to slap in there, go right ahead. Personally, I use he and she interchangeably. I always have. I've called plenty of my male friends she and plenty of my female friends he. Even those who aren't anywhere on the rainbow spectrum at all. They just learn to accept it from me because they have no choice. I am who I am, and I do the things I do for reasons beyond their comprehension. As everyone does, by the way. Everybody does things beyond other people's reason and comprehension because of the fact that you're doing it for yourself, your way, in your mind, you know. So I thought it was, I had this tongue-tied moment. Sorry, guys. So I always had this, this weird, every time somebody said, oh, but the golden rule, what about the golden rule? You treated me like shit and you expect me to treat you good? That's not what my golden rule says. My golden rule says I treat you good until you start treating me like shit, and then I treat you with the same energy. That's what my golden rule says. What do you mean I'm a bad guy? Alright, guys. Believe it or not, this is me rambling because I am sober. Sober me rambles more than any other me. I promise. It's weird. So now that you guys know what my golden rule is, do unto others as you would have them do unto you until they prove themselves. I invite you all to join me in embracing this bohemian way of thinking. I have honestly been doing it my whole life, of course, because I paid attention when my mother gave the lessons, and I chose to embrace the lessons. I encourage you guys to go ahead, absorb that, and take it in for yourself. Please, I give it freely. Because as a bohemian, I am not a way of life, I am just a being. And as a bohemian, my biggest job is to make your life easier, healthier, and happier. If I can. If you deserve it. If you've come to me and prove that you deserve nothing from me, then I will say, happy to meet you. I certainly hope your journey is going to be great, but I have other things to do. Alright, guys. Thank you for watching. If you got this far, of course you know exactly what I'm going to say. You know to remember, it doesn't matter who you are, I love you, and to take care of each other. And I'll see you guys in the next video.